We've entered a new season, and we have significant tools at our disposal, and it's time for government to get out of the business of public health interventions. COVID-19 is now a managed public health issue in our states, no longer a statewide public health crisis. And therefore, my last COVID-19 executive order will expire tomorrow. Remaining actions will be simply to address lingering economic and regulatory issues. Above all else, Tennesseans have embraced the idea of personal responsibility and have allowed us to get in this state from a public health crisis to a managed health issue. After more than a year of public-led health interventions, we're in a different season. It's time to shift our focus now more toward recovery and not restrictions. There are currently no state-mandated restrictions on businesses in 89 counties that the state has jurisdiction over, and there hasn't been for many months. But last year, during the height of the pandemic, we did provide the Tennessee Pledge as a guide to give businesses direction about ways to operate safely. These guidelines will today be officially retired in order to send a clear message that Tennesseans now know how to manage their own day-to-day operations without a government playbook, even if it was a voluntary one. So whether it's capacity limits or temperature checks or other burdens on operation, it's time for businesses to get back to serving their customers. It's time for celebrations and weddings and conventions and concerts and parades and proms and everything in between to happen without limits on gathering sizes or other arbitrary restrictions for those events. And while I never instituted a statewide mask mandate in the state, we should address the remaining mask mandates that are in place at the local level. So effective tomorrow, no local governments in the 89 counties that fall under our jurisdiction will have the authority to issue a mask mandate. With regard to the other big 6 counties whose authority is independent, 3 of these counties have mask mandates and have some level of business restrictions. Each of these counties has been moving in the right direction, and I spoke with each one of these counties over the last day. Our office either reached out or I spoke personally to those mayors about my desire that by Memorial Day, all business restrictions, all mandates, mask mandates and limits would be lifted across the state. We believe that'll happen. Mayor Cooper has, I believe, will be announcing today a lifting of restrictions in our city. We talked about his desire to lift a mask mandate at the appropriate time, so we think that will be happening in cities across our state. It's an opportunity for our state to truly be fully in every way unrestricted throughout our state. COVID-19 is part of public health, and it's here to stay for the foreseeable future. But we have to learn to live with it just like we do any risk. And when there is an emergency or crisis, government should respond. And when that crisis diminishes, government should respond again and snap back, and now is the time for that. This is about trusting Tennesseans, using the tools that we have at our disposal to get out of the way and out of the business of crisis management and back to the business of life. Tennessee is moving forward thanks to her people.
Hello, friend. This is Aaron Snodderly with your Capital Update for the week of April 25th, 2021. What you just saw was Tennessee Governor Bill Lee announcing that he will allow all executive orders concerning the coronavirus to expire this week. We very much appreciate the fact that throughout this past year, the governor has had an even-keeled approach to the coronavirus. None of his executive orders involved churches or people of religious faith, and since the month of August, very few of his executive orders mandated anything concerning businesses. So while we did think that he probably could have and should have allowed these executive orders to expire several months ago, we're very thankful that at least he saw fit to do so this week. We ask you to pray for him, pray that God will continue to give him wisdom and guidance concerning how he should lead our state, and pray for our state as we now enter the post-coronavirus era. In other state news, I'm pleased to report that HB 1181 and SB 828, the bill that would require all aborted fetal tissue to be buried or cremated, has now passed both the House and the Senate, and we expect the governor to sign it into law very soon. I'm also pleased to report that HB 1182 and SB 1224, the bathroom bill, has passed the House and will be voted by the full body of the Senate this week. Please pray that it'll pass so that we can protect our women and children and allow them to use a restroom free from people of the opposite biological sex. Now, there's some new legislation I want to mention to you, specifically HB 37 and SB 1573. This is legislation that is being presented by Representative Andy Ogles and Senator Paul Bailey. And basically what this bill would do is it would prevent all governors and governmental authority from declaring one sect of employees essential and another non-essential during the time of a national emergency. We 100% support this legislation. If for no other reason, what if we ever have a governor one day who wants to declare the office of pastor as non-essential, or maybe an evangelist as non-essential? And we could go on and on. It just makes common sense, but it definitely makes religious sense as well. So we're pleased to report that it has now passed both the House and the Senate. We're not sure where the governor stands on it, but our gut tells us he will probably sign it into law. Please pray that he does. Also, HB 1276 and SB 1315, which have become known as the Tennessee Election Integrity Act, passed the House yesterday. It passed the Senate earlier, so it is now headed to the governor's desk, where we believe the governor will sign it as well. Now, HJR 150, the Bible bill, is still being held up by Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally. He still refuses to allow it to come to a vote by the full body of the Senate. So we ask you once again to please call his office, email them, and in a polite way, let them know that you want him to allow HJR 150, the Bible bill, to be voted on, even if he himself personally votes against it. Now, there are several things happening in Washington this week. The most important one, of course, is President Joe Biden's version of the State of the Union address. It's being reported that he will request nearly $4 trillion worth of national deficit spending. $4 trillion. If you break that down and do the math, you'll find that that's nearly $32,000 per American household. And it's just going to fund more socialism and communism than we have ever seen before. If you thought President Donald Trump was horrible at managing the national deficit, you're exactly right. That's why he called himself the king of debt. But clearly, President Joe Biden is trying to take that crown away from him and declare himself to be the king of debt. We need to pray against this. We need to work against it because we cannot continue to spend ourselves into oblivion. Someday we will have to pay these bills, and it'll be bad news for Christians and unsaved people alike. So please pray that we will see a change take place in his heart. Pray that President Joe Biden will soon be saved before it's eternally too late. You know, President Ronald Reagan once said that if we ever forget that we are one nation under God, then we will soon be a nation gone under. We don't want to see that happen. So let me encourage you. Tell people about Jesus. Remind them that, as the Pledge of Allegiance says, we are one nation under God, and His name is Jesus Christ. Thank you for watching. I encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like and share this video on all of your social media platforms, and I pray that God will use each and every one of us to bless America. Thank you for investing in your future through our ministry.